In this video, we're going to look at yet another one of the built-in nodes that's built into GNS3, which is the frame relay switch. Chances are, if you're studying for some kind of Cisco certification test, they're going to want you to know how to configure frame relay, at least from the perspective of the router connecting into the frame relay cloud. So we need something in that cloud to provide those frame relay connections. And here's where we're going to use the frame relay switch that's built into GNS3. So before we get started, this is the topology that I'm going to build. This is my objective. So like any lab that you're building up, it's always a good idea to write down like just a quick sketch on a piece of paper or something of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to build. So in this particular case, R2 is actually going to have a total of 2 PVCs, 2 frame relay permanent virtual circuits. From R2 to R4, that's going to be one of our PVCs, and then another one from R2 going to R3. And we can see here that I've selected the DELSI numbers that I'd like to use for each of these. Now, much of this, in order to save time on this video, has already been built up in GNS3. I've already put in the virtual PCs, the routers. I've already got my IP addresses and routing going on. So really, I'm just going to show you how to configure the frame relay switch. The purpose of this video is not to show you how to configure the various frame relay commands within Cisco IOS on your routers. That's not what this is for. This is just purely to show you how to drag and drop the frame relay switch in there, set up its interfaces, and make sure that it has the DELSI numbers that you wish. So let's take a look at how we can do that. So here we go. Most of this is already set up. So over here within the switches category, the very last one is our frame relay switch. So we can just drag and drop that into place. And just like the Ethernet switch was automatically on, the frame relay switch, as you can see here, also is automatically on. Status light is green. And just like the Ethernet switch where there was no command line to configure it, we had to do it via the GUI. Same thing here with the frame relay switch. Just right click, and from the right click menu, just select configure, which will bring up this box right here. And now all we need to do is map these various ports with what we want in our diagram. So if I take a look once again at my diagram, I want port number 1 to have actually 2 DELSIs on it. So I'm going to have to do this one at a time. So DELSI number 101 on port 1 should be mapped to DELSI 202 on port 2. We're almost there, except instead of being mapped to DELSI 202 on port 2, it's being mapped to DELSI 202 on port 10. So that's the only thing I need to fix. Just change that to port 2, click add. So just with that one click of a button and changing that port number, we have now created the red permanent virtual circuit from R2 to R3. Now let's create the purple permanent virtual circuit from R2 to R4. So that's going to be DELSI 102. Okay, so the DELSI number here is correct, but the port number is wrong. We need to put it back on port number 1. And that should be going out port number 3, which is DELSI 203. And that is correct. So let's just hit add, apply, and OK. So that's really all we have to do from the standpoint of configuring the frame relay switch. It's pretty simple. Now we just need to connect things together. Now a little word of warning or word of caution here. I don't know if this was an intended feature or not, but I noticed when creating this lab the first time that if I tried to link up using the add a connection tool, my frame relay switch to my routers while the routers were up and running, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work. I got a flashing message that just wouldn't go away. So my suggestion to you would be in this particular case, make sure all of your routers are powered off first, connect them via the connection tool to the frame relay switch, and then turn the routers on afterwards. Don't connect them up while the routers are on. So at this moment, all of my routers, as you can see, are off, which is what I want. So let's just start connecting things up. So port number 1 here is going to go to R2. I'll just connect it to serial 2/0. Port number 2 is going to go to, once again, 2/0 on R3. And port number 3 is also going to go to 2/0 on R4. Now let's move my names of interfaces and stuff around just a little bit so it's a little bit clearer. Let's drop my DELSIs into place. Let's drop my host IP addresses into place. There we go. Looks like everything is ready to go. So now let's just go ahead and turn on all of the other devices. Okay, so how do we verify it works? Well, let's go to one of these routers here. Let's go to R4 as an example and see if he learns about routes to the 2 network and the 1 network. And he does. He's learned via EIGRP the remote networks of 222, 444, and 111. And if everything is working correctly, PC1 should be able to ping across to PC3. But even if that's not working, the frame relay is up and working. There's no way that R4 could have learned about the 222 or the 111 network unless it was done via frame relay. So that's it. Dragging and dropping the frame relay built-in node is actually pretty simple.